Kenya Christian Professional Forum stands for life, family, and faith. Very important, because family is the basic unit of the society. Family is the building block of a stable nation. I will congratulate you at the tail end of my discussion. But let me begin from here. And you better listen carefully. Vincent Kimosop says there is an audience online, so I better use this microphone. And I'll gladly use this microphone, because we are here, as Reverend Al Sharpton says, for the publicity. We must publicize Christianity, we must publicize values, we must publicize obligations. In the cathedral, Reverend Canon Sami Wanaina took us through the book of Genesis, and he spoke about the need for man to be made in God's image for a particular purpose, in order that man may dominate the fishes, the birds, and the cattle, not dominate fellow man. Do you know at what point in time man started dominating man? Hands up. Daktari?
When king killed Abel.
Good. When man refused to be organized in the setup of judges and decided that they wanted kings like the other people they'd met upon leaving Egypt. King David, I'm a man of God, but my hands are bloodied. I undertake a lot of war, but I'll still read the scripture. I will refer you to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, starting from verse 11. It reads thus, and I use the King James Version. I returned and saw that under the sun the race is not for the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to the men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. Have you noticed that cattle has disappeared, and in its place is man to be ensnared? By who? By a fellow man. Then King David proceeds, this wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. There was a little city, and few men within it. And there came a great king against it, and besieged it, and built great bulwarks against it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no man remembered that poor man. Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of wise men are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth amongst fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. The first lawyer on this earth, if you may not know, was Moses. And when he came back with the tablets, he was disappointed by what he saw. He threw the tablets down. Unlike Moses before me, I'll not be disappointed, because I walk with the law of God and the law of man. Because man is a devious creature, contrary to what God contemplated. Are we destined for doom, or is there respite? And in particular, I'm talking to you as Kenyans. Do you expect change from the rulers or from the poor wise men spoken of in Ecclesiastics, whose words, whose actions, though impactful, are never recognized? Do you really believe you can get change from the crop of leaders we have right now? Do you think there is no alternative? Do you think in the midst of all these professionals in Kenya, there are no competent leaders to lead you? Okay, let's take this argument a little bit further. Any pilot who has become the president of a world, of a country on earth, do you know?
No.
No, you're wrong, Vincent Kimosop. George Bush Sr. was an Air Force pilot at the age of 19. Do you know of a doctor, medical doctor, who has become president of the world? There are many. Do you know of lawyers who have become presidents of the world? They are bound. In fact, the United States of America is dominated by lawyers who were presidents. Look at the presidents who have led you. Other than President Daniel Arap Moi, who we all know was a teacher, and President Mwai Kibaki, who we all know was an economist, are you able to identify the professions of all those other presidents? Yes. Therein lies the problem. I will not take so much time. I'll take you through the history of change. Once upon a time, there lived a lawyer by the name Vladimir Ilyich, famously known as Lenin. He belonged to the middle class. Lenin realized the need to catalyze change using the peasants. He was extremely educated, and he catalyzed change. He belonged to the middle class. Sir Charles, my classmate here, has eloquently notified you why we cannot achieve change in Kenya. Because the middle class is reluctant. Has change ever been effected by the bourgeoisie? Scholars, historians, has it ever? Yes, Esther, you're wrong. It has. Once upon a time, there lived a man called Fidel Castro. He was the son of a rich sugarcane farmer. His father owned 15,000 hectares of sugarcane. His father owned 50,000 hectares of a ranch cattle. They owned the biggest rum distillery in the world at their time. He was dissatisfied with the regime then. He said he will leave the comfort of his father and go to the Sierra Maestra and lead change. There he found a medical doctor, and the rest, as you understand, is history. Do you realize why change in Cuba was consistent? And why change in the Soviet Union was never consistent? Because in the midst of the struggle by Vladimir Ilyich, there were some bourgeoisies who had camouflaged, led by Joseph Stalin. That is why communism failed in Russia. There was no bourgeoisie in the midst of Fidel Castro's movement. In fact, it was a command amongst his soldiers, they must all grow a beard. Minimum 3 inches. Because it was easy to identify infiltrators. We will not attain change here in Kenya for as long as we entertain infiltrators in the Christianization of leadership. Do you or do you not agree that every time they want to go for election, they will come for prayers here at the Cathedral? They will go for prayers at Afra Stadium. And our clergy will go there and bless them without identifying whether they have a beard, a minimum of 3 inches. Without ascertaining whether they belong to the middle class or they are the bourgeoisie. Therein lies the problem. Let me advance the argument further. Have you ever seen them quote the Bible? Where? Let's give credit to President Daniel Arap Moi. However much you say he was a dictator, he was a man of God. He reigned during a perilous time. You cannot compare him to Mobutu Sese Seko. You cannot compare him to Bokassa. That is why he lived to the prime age of over 100 years. He was a good man. After him, I doubt whether we've had any good men. But in our midst, there are many good men and women determined to do the correct thing. And often, they are treated like the poor wise men and women spoken of in Ecclesiastics. As soon as they bring change, they are forgotten because of infiltration. Charles, I pray that you get the courage to run for national office. You need to be a member of the National Assembly or the Senate. Or Charles, if we bring change like Fidel Castro did, and I continue remaining in the Sierra Maestra, you can force me to come to the capital and say we want good governance, so that I appoint you ministers. Waraina, I want you to run for public office. Why must you run for public office? There is this false construct that the ruling class always have. They will tell you, we have empowered women. But if you look at the people they have empowered as women on your behalf, they're just women because they have nice hair, perhaps they are light-skinned, perhaps they have a skirt, but they don't have the mind frame of a woman. That is why nations are called she. They are supposed to be feminine in nature. You must run for public office. Esther Ngawa, you must run for public office. Because if you don't, you will be led continuously by these infiltrators. Here they are, propounding a construct that there is need for constitutional change. Which change? On what basis? For who? The Constitution is for us, the people. It is a contract between the ruling class and the people. The ruling class has continuously abused state power And they will come in many formations. And they'll beguile you. You need to be wise so that you are not entrapped with a trap meant for cattle that has hitherto been entrapping men and women. Today is a great day, and I'm proudly associated with the Kenya Christian Professional Forum. I know those who do not have the benefit of greater learning will say that Havi is here for publicity. Again, I say yes, I'm here for publicity because it belongs to us to publicize the Christianization of leadership in this Kenya. And I stand here as a member of the All Saints Cathedral. My provost, Canon Reverend Sami Wanaina, spoke eloquently in the morning. He said, we must enlighten the Kenyan public. We must ensure that the professionals of this country are adequately empowered with Christian values. And if they're not Christian values, religious values to enable them provide leadership. On his part, he said, if there is need for him to don the robe and go to the streets, he's ready, willing, and able. Are you ready, willing, and able? Has it been done before? Yes. In this compound, in the 90s and the early 2000s, the people behind the Fungamano initiative could congregate. Njoya was assaulted just a few meters from here. This is the bastion of hope. Not just Christian hope, but hope for everybody who has values. I want to encourage leaders of all professional bodies in Kenya, doctors, engineers, teachers, architects, nurses, everybody, name them. You need to be here. If you're not here, you will complain that you're not represented when the leadership structure of this country will be constituted of lawyers. You will blame yourself. On the 27th of August 2020, we commemorated 10 years of Katiba. We signed a declaration as Kenya Christian professional leaders. We widened the scope of that declaration to encompass leaders of all professional bodies in Kenya. That declaration is lying at the Secretariat of the Law Society of Kenya. I want you to come and sign. Wilson Sosion, you must come and sign, because NAT is facing extinction. It has been infiltrated by men and women whose beard is not a minimum of 3 inches. Dr. Onyino, you must come and sign the declaration on behalf of doctors, because you will continue issuing strike notices. Those hyenas do not care. They know you cannot enforce your strike notices. I told you what to do. We need a legal framework within which doctors, nurses, and all health practitioners can practice. Same with you pilots. You were in my office the other day. I told you are headed nowhere unless you have the courage of George Bush. Take up elective office and determine the future of this country. Family, life, and faith is fundamental. Charles, may I thank you most sincerely for taking up this heavy responsibility. Anne Bugwa before you, very credible leader. She performed excellently. Vincent, Wainaina, and Daktari, please steer this ship to greater heights. It is our responsibility to provide direction. Let us not drop the Bible down, because with the Bible you have the Constitution. We will hold them accountable according to the laws of God, and we'll also hold them accountable according to the laws of man. May we prosper as Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. Our time is here. Our time is tomorrow and hereafter. Thank you so much.